This is Shred, and today I'm going to teach you music theory in 15 minutes. Now, I don't even know if that's possible, but we're going to give it a try. According to ChatGPT, the number one reason musicians avoid music theory is because they think it will stifle their creativity. What the f***? That's like saying studying grammar will make you a bad writer. The truth is, theory helps us compose, perform, and appreciate sound on a deeper level. Learn music theory for free with my newsletter below. All my courses, tabs, ask questions in the live chat, and even share your own music for feedback. Now let's get started because the clock is ticking. Step one when it comes to music theory is learning the musical alphabet. And here I've got all of the notes in the alphabet laid out. It's easiest to visualize this on the piano, so think on the keys if you can. So here we go. We've got C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. Now after you get that down, there's two places in the alphabet where there's half steps. So between E and F, you can see on the gray notes here, and then in between B and C is the other place where we have half steps. Now, what the hell is going on with these black notes, right? These are called enharmonic equivalents. So in between each note, let's say in between C and D, you've got a black note. You can see there's a fret in between these two fingers on guitar, right? So you go C, C sharp, and D. Now the trick is there's two different ways to label these notes. You can see there's a C sharp and a D flat. So if you're coming from below, we call that a C sharp. But if you're coming from above and descending, we call it a D flat. Now let's walk through the entire musical alphabet. You've got C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, here's that half step point, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, and there's the other magical half step between B and C. Now if you were to descend this scale, you would replace all of the sharps with flats. I know guitarists aren't a fan of standard notation, but being able to read the notes, those little black dots, gives you access to great ideas. The good news is it's not that hard to learn how to read music. So check this out. Using the word face, we can learn the notes on the spaces. You've got F, A, C, and E on that top space. And for the lines on the staff, we've got an acronym here. Every good boy deserves fudge. I like to think that I totally deserve some fudge after a hard day's work, right? So you've got E on the second fret of that D string, the open G, open B string, D is on the third fret of the B string, and finally, the F note on the top of the staff is the first fret of the high E string. Now here's how it looks in tablature. So this is kind of cheating, right? When you're actually learning how to read, you don't want to have the tablature so that you force yourself to look at the notes. But for now, it's okay to use this cheat sheet. So we've got that 3, 2, 1, 0, F, A, C, and E. Intervals are the distance between two notes. Now there are 12 musical intervals to get down, and each one has a unique character that can be used to translate your feelings. So the smallest interval that we have is called the minor second, and that's from C to C sharp or C to D flat. Remember that enharmonic equivalent principle we talked about earlier. That's an evil sound for sure. Now, two half steps is the major second, or from C to D. Much less cringing, biting. The minor third is one of the most important intervals because it forms the basis of the minor chord. That's 3 half steps. Now we're moving on to 4 half steps, or the major third, C to E. Beautiful sound that is the cornerstone of the major chord. After that, we're moving to the perfect fourth, 5 half steps. And that's the Here Comes the Bride interval. If you're about to get hitched soon, you might be hearing that. The augmented fourth is 6 half steps. You play that 3 times, you get 6, 6, 6, the devil's number. It's definitely the most evil interval. Now we have the perfect fifth, which is 7 half steps. And that's a beautiful sound because it adds stability to chords. It's the 5th in major and minor chords. 8 half steps. You got the minor 6th, beautiful, forlorn sadness. The major 6th is next, 9 half steps. Another beautiful sound. The minor 7th. Oh, are you kidding me? Just listen to that wonderful ambiguity. 10 half steps. 11 half steps is the dissonant major 7th, or from C to B. And finally, we're back through the octave C to C with the perfect 8th. A scale is a series of intervals that connects an octave. And the best place to start when it comes to learning scales is, of course, the major scale. This is where most all of Western music is derived from. So the A major scale is A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, and G sharp. And there's a special secret, top secret, by the way, formula you can use to memorize the scale. So here it is. You've got whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. The cool thing is you can literally use that formula to play a major scale starting on any fret. Just to be clear, a whole step is when you go from 5 to 7 and you have that 1 fret in between. A half step are 2 frets right next to each other. Now the major scale is great, but I'm going to be honest with you, the minor scale is a lot cooler. You get that sad effect. So here's how the A minor scale sounds. Oh, I could listen to that all day. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and back to A. So here our sequence of whole steps and half steps is a little bit different. You've got whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. Now, the next topic in music theory I want to cover is chords. And chords are defined as just 3 or more notes. An interval is the distance between 2 notes, and a chord is 3 or more notes. Now, there are 4 types of triads that you need to get down. And the first one is, of course, the major triad. We've got A major, A, C sharp, and E, or root, third, and fifth. Now next is the A minor triad, and all you have to do to get that is take your bird finger here and flat that. Flat the minor third. Okay, so now we have A, C, and E for our A minor triad. Now, this is where things start to get crazy. Next, we've got the augmented chord. This one sounds wild. It's when you take a major chord and raise the 5th degree. So A, C sharp, and E sharp is the spelling of the augmented triad. Now there's one final variation on the triads. The diminished triad is an evil sound. I would say it's probably the devil's favorite chord of all. Now, once you get a few chords under your belt, the best exercise I know of to work on your harmony is to learn the chords in the key of C major. Now, it could be any key, but the point is that you learn this connection between scales and the chords that they generate. because all songs use these chords within a key. So you start with C major, have this beautiful spread triad voicing, move up to D minor, the 2 chord, E minor is the 3, F major is the 4, the 5 is G major, and A minor, glorious minor tonality. And finally, the diminished chord is the last one, kind of an oddball before we get back to the 1 chord C major. Now I want to talk about time signatures briefly. At the beginning of a piece, you'll see a number, actually 2 numbers here. So you see this 4/4 time. Now what the hell do those numbers stand for, right? Well, the top number tells you how many notes are going to be in each bar. So here we see there's going to be 4 notes in each bar. And here, indeed, there are 4 notes. Now, the bottom number tells you the type of note that gets the beat. So in this case, we have a 4, which means a quarter note gets the beat. So essentially, this 4/4 time is saying there are 4 quarter notes in each bar. Now, 4/4 isn't the only time signature, although it is definitely the most common time signature. In fact, it's known as common time. But there are other time signatures that are used, and here's an example of one, 3/4 time. So it's the same as 4/4, except instead of there being 4 quarter notes in a bar, here we have 3 quarter notes in a bar. Rhythm is the engine that drives music forward, and I want to demonstrate some of the primary rhythms that you're going to come across. So I'm going to fire up my metronome here. There it is. And we're going to play quarter notes to the metronome. And a quarter note just means you play 1 note every time you hear a click. You can even imagine this in your mind before you do it. Play, 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 play. So that's the quarter note. Another common subdivision you'll see is 8th notes. Now this is when you play 2 notes per beat. So, ba, 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 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now the last subdivision I'm going to show you that you're likely to encounter on a frequent basis is 16th notes. Now this is 4 notes per beat. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the most important concepts in music theory, period, is the circle of fifths. Now, the circle of fifths tells us which notes sound good together. And it's actually not that hard to understand, even though a lot of musicians and guitar players fear this circle. It's often known as the circle of death. So check this out. Starting at 12 o'clock on the circle, we've got the key of C. And the entire concept behind this circle is that there is a fifth in between each of the keys. So if you go clockwise here, you can see the next key is G. And if we count out in the musical alphabet, C, D, E, F, G, we can see there's 5 notes in between those 2 keys. And that's it. That's like the whole idea behind this thing. So if you continue on, you can see that is indeed the case. The difference between G and D is another fifth, right? G, A, B, C, and D. Now, of course, I'm not using the regular alphabet here. There's no Z's or H's or X's. So you're just counting 5 through the musical alphabet. Now, there's only one other thing you have to understand about the circle of fifths, and that is the inner circle here. This is where all the cool kids hang out. These are known as the relative minor keys. So C major and A minor actually share the same notes. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but let me demonstrate. So C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, and B. Now A minor has A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. You notice those are the same notes, just rearranged. So in order to find the relative minor of any major key, all you have to do is go down a minor third from the root. So if we're on the 8th fret of the low E string here on the note C, go down a step and a half and you get the relative minor. So you can just build that minor scale starting on that note. If you continue to go around the circle here, you can see that that same relationship goes for each key. You have that minor third difference. So G, go down a minor third, you get E minor. D major, go down a minor third, and you get B minor. So where do you go from here? Well, here's my question to you. Does music theory limit creative potential? Or do you think learning new things can expand artistic possibilities? If you're unsure where to go next, check out my free lessons below. Until next time, shred till you're dead.